Come on, Mr. Matt.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
Well, the first item of business I have for the Commissioners was the opioid committee, ad hoc committee. I did propose a committee as previously requested, and it's my understanding, once I had the team in place, I needed to disclose that or share that with the Commissioners for final approval of that actual committee or team. So I've done that. I believe you got a copy of the memo.
Motion to approve the creation of the opioid funding committee to be populated with the following individuals. Matt Trout from Court Services, Megan Johnson as treatment provider, Leslie Baker, prosecutor, Donna Swain, treatment provider, Dave Pearman, representative county council, Randy Sallee is EMS representative, and Jack Rose as sheriff.
There was a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Commissioners, if I may also for the record, I did have a revised one with Director Garner, who recently has been appointed, I believe, this position as the EMS director. So I believe Ms. Salidas was the interim.
Okay, so then the following, the previous motion to replace name of Randy Salidas with the name of James Garner, EMS director.
Is there a second to that amendment?
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioners. Second item of business, requested funding for pretrial. I went before the county council earlier this evening and they had approved it. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, will go into effect July 1st of this year. The reason for that, what I was requesting was the cost of GPS monitoring. We would traditionally charge a defendant $10 a day that was on supervision of any level. It could be a sentenced offender, it could be a pretrial diversion defendant. State statute really, well, honestly drove all this. The state statute basically states that effective July 1st, it's our understanding, the understanding of the attorney of the board as well, Mr. Schramm, that we cannot charge a pretrial defendant more than $30 a month to be on supervision. There can be an administrative fee naturally, but not more than $30 a month. Our GPS units cost $10. They're charged $10 a day for the unit in and of themselves. So that would restrict a lot of options because we do use GPS monitoring for the defendants that are in jail that have a victim, a no contact order, whatever the case may be like that. So what we've done, or what I did previously, is I requested permission for somebody of the county, I believe, Rachel, correct, to subsidize that cost. And what it will just be for the I'm sorry, not the supervision. It will be only for the cost of that GPS bracelet on a pretrial defendant at $8 a day. Now we charge $10 a day, and that's what we've done previously, but it still costs us time and maintenance with the equipment. monitoring the equipment, setting up zones, exclusion, inclusion zones, monitoring points and opening schedules. So we propose the $8 a day cost for pretrial defendant, and we would send a bill monthly. Is that correct, man? For the cost of that. So if the council, or I'm sorry, if the commissioners have any questions, I can certainly answer them at this time.
Donnie, did you get all that?
Well, who was he saying would, he would charge the prisoners that or?
$10 a day, Commissioner Bankley, is what we charge. That's our daily rate for electronic monitoring.
Okay,
What we proposed was $8 per day, though, to the county. Because there is a cost to our agency to maintain the equipment, to load the information into the computer system to track it daily, sir.
okay, so it'd be an extra $8 a day you're charging them, or you're wanting the county to pay the difference?
Yes, Mr. Binkley, it would actually be the county that would pay that $8 a day charge for pretrial defendant only, not for our sentence target population offenders, only for our pretrial defendant population.
How many you figure on that, Sean?
Well, sir, to date, year to date, we've had, it looks like 7. We've really evolved in this, and the court's really evolved. I think legislation has forced a lot of this, actually, especially with bail reform. It wasn't uncommon 2-3 years ago. Everybody that came out of jail on some kind of bail was placed on a GPS monitor, even if they didn't require it. A lot of legislation and legal things have forced that to the forefront now. And we're an evidence-based county, so we follow the evidence, and the state says that the only ones, when you talk about a pretrial defendant, that should be on monitoring, is somebody that has a no contact or a protective order with somebody. And really, the simplest way I could phrase it, it boils down, it's another option for the court. And we're either going to keep them in custody in jail if they qualify for some kind of release, and pay $35 a day. Somebody's got to pay that, or we can bring them out, and if they require to wear a GPS bracelet, then $8 a day. So
Okay.
a cost savings.
All right, thanks. I'm
Yes.
okay with,
And the council's made an additional appropriation to seed it for this.
$25,000 for this year. And,
Well, budgeted in the next year. So I'll make a motion to approve the expense for pre-trial GPS monitoring equipment in the amount of $25,000. Paid out of the seeded funds.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you.
you are.
Yeah, you are free to go.
Thank you, Director Metro.
Thank you.
Then we have on the agenda, Stu, Triad.
He was at the council meeting, but I'm not sure if he stayed around. He was just gonna share their report about all of the other services they can offer other than water and sewer, such as fire station.
Oh, so it was something you sales.
I invited him, so to educate, not to sell.
Let's. Move on, I think.
Was he out there? I don't know, maybe he is out there.
He's standing out there.
Yeah, he's here. I didn't see him, so maybe he is.
Hey, Charlie, while you're waiting for that guy, could I just say something? I was having connection issues when I was on the council meeting. Plus there was just a lot of background noise. I just wanted to say though, that Stu guy, or if maybe if Cassie wants to let him know, firehouses too are like a big time township trustee deal. And he may want to reach out to them as well, because I did have a call from Kay Chaffins the other night. And you know, I think on the Sampier town thing, I'm not sure that she was totally in the loop, she thought. And so I think maybe like moving forward, I mean, you know, I know she wants a firehouse, but I mean, it's just, I was just thinking on the trustee level, since the firehouses are specifically trustee, he may want to try to engage them as well. Just a piece of advice is all. Thanks.
I believe we already made her aware, Joanne Bailey.
Okay, no worries. I just thought I'd throw that in there.
Thanks, Dave. I guess we can skip.
Yeah.
Then we have Lisa Van.
See?
It's Bruce Johnson out there.
No.
Oh, probably. He's pretty.
Bruce Johnson out here. Need you.
Yeah. Go into the. How are you? Thank you guys for having us. We'll try to make it quick. It's a little busy here today. Bruce is here. He has the Johnson subdivision, lots of homes have been built there. He still has 32 lots that can be built in the subdivision. Don't know if there is any kind of funding that could help with some infrastructure for the project to continue the road in. I do know that once the road is in there, it would become part of the county inventory. It just is on the other side of the city limit. The other side of 500 is city limit, and then Johnson subdivision is in the county. So I wanted to bring Bruce in to just chat for a minute to give you an idea of what he's looking at. Don't know if that's even a possibility, but I said, you know, it wouldn't hurt to come in and have a quick discussion about it.
Are you doing the road, are you talking about the original plat?
Yeah,
That's what.
I'm up to here now, right?
So
That's actually real inventory.
Dan, have you seen this?
I was informed of it today.
Okay.
So it is already part of.
Yes, it
inventory.
was. What year was it?
2007.
Seven, somewhere out right. Yeah.
So with that, I mean, if it's continued, is there a possibility? I mean, the road will have to be continued in order to
Yeah, we.
accommodate.
If it's in the inventory, I think. I mean, we've taken it on, we've received maintenance funds. Because it's in our inventory.
Yeah.
Technically, it shouldn't have been approved until it was actually finished.
I gotcha. So basically, it's working on some.
I'm heading out for the night. Nurse Ally, had the past 2 nights, is back.
That's-
So she's out there doing a few things.
So are you asking for funding to help
Just some
fund it?
assistance of some sort.
So he doesn't have to, you know.
They come to me and said, you know, we got a shortage of some, you know, and it's been, last time I put the other chunk of road in here, you know, I've been sitting on that since 07 basically, when I did it, it's been, you know, such a long time that it's
So is
hard
that,
for me to invest that, I guess, back into a road that might take another 16 years and I'll probably around in 16 years. So just wanted to know if there might be some assistance and moving forward, or, you know.
well, being that we've already, I mean, there's funds that have came in for it, I mean, it's in the inventory, I guess that would, you know, like, Dan, you'd have to.
And yeah, is there. We might be able to calculate some level of funding to put into. Writing some sort of road. At some level, so you can get.
Are you asking for money or are you asking like for the highway to help develop?
Either way.
Okay, because it would
Either way.
probably be
I mean, you guys
better
have
for
that.
us if we just, the highway help develop the road.
Okay.
Is this, you said right here.
This is all done right here.
So that's asphalt.
That's all asphalted up to actually about the center of that. So my next phase is to do this part. And then that part connects it, but you know, this part has 22 more lots. This one has 10 that are available.
And what kind of timeline are you looking to get this done?
I'm on my last lot now. I'm on my last house. I think I might have a lighter board already. I sold some lots recently when COVID hit. Other than that, I've been sitting on work. And so just when COVID hit, I started selling some lots. So there is 4 builders out there right now. Building homes. So it's not just like me, it's, there's other builders. I sell lots and then I got one from North Judson. I don't know if I hired the other one. 2 weeks ago, I'm going here, getting the new systems and also, they got 2 lots out there to sell. And then 2 hours and
All right, well, I think she's gonna go regulate for me.
But in order for Bruce not to have to try to make over an amount for the lots, if there would be some help getting that road in there, I mean, we need housing inventory. We need housing in the city and the county. And so, I said, well, come along, Bruce, well, you know.
Well, I mean, as every house goes in, now you got, property tax paid for the rest of this. So, look at it, I understand that, but with the cost of the way that are right now. If I was in the Ranger, I can get 50,000 for a lot, and it's probably doable, but. The last slot I see in there, that normal size was 90,000. Well, I'm putting 10,000 of it in the road.
Well, it's definitely something that I think, I mean, Dan, you have to come up with a plan or, contact, get in contact.
We need to come up with a creative idea to address this because. It was accepted back in 07.
Okay. We're, it would probably be sometime tail end of August. Unless we put it to the head of the line of the plan we have for paving.
Fantastic.
So just coordinate with Dan at the highway.
I'll connect you guys with email and phone number.
And then we can work on building.
What's the width of that?
56 right away. I think the road's 25, the actual.
I know it's one of our bigger right away.
Anything else you guys have?
Questions? No, I don't think so.
How long are we talking, Charlie?
Sorry, Don, we didn't catch that.
How far are we talking? A mile, a half mile?
I think it's 2,500 feet, I believe. Off the top of my head. I think the first part was 17, and then there was 1,000. That was so big, right at 27, 25.
Did you catch that, Don?
Yeah, a little bit of it, yeah.
Oh, 2,500 feet.
Okay.
You got anything else, Don?
Yeah, I mean, just, we can legally do that to where the county's not gonna be in trouble for doing this.
So back in 2007, the commissioners back then actually accepted the plat. That which came along with the undeveloped road. So therefore, we have been getting paid for it to maintain it since 2007. So we technically are liable for putting at least those funds into the roadway.
Okay. I'm good with it.
All right.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you guys.
Easier than you thought, right? Well, no, I'm kidding.
We have Joanne Bailey up.
She let me know she wouldn't be able to.
Okay.
And Director Garner, EMS.
Let's knock this out. Because our previous appointee denied or declined the offer. I'll make the motion to appoint James Garner, officially appoint James Garner as EMS director.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now it's official. That's
Reason why I'm here for the funding request. This is a signature. That's Medicaid cost report. That was what Nancy wanted to me. Give it to somebody.
That I did review.
You did not?
I did review
Oh,
that for the Medicaid cost report. They got an extension and they're still.
Informal motion to approve. This is. What do we call this?
basically accepting that it's basically saying that you accept EMS as a department.
Okay, make a motion to approve this letter affirming that EMS is a department under the Stark County Board of Commissioners.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Good signature on it.
Yeah.
On the letter, but I don't know what the second page. The reading up here is. Last. Commissioner's meeting. Where medic one base, Northwestern base was asked about. The previous director had a hire. $3,700 for the air conditioning. That's now become $3,850 additional. I would like to request $3,850 to be applied to the work that was already done.
That was when he was here, when the previous director was here, it was just for the furnace, I believe, and that's, I know I asked him if that was with the air conditioning.
Yes.
That's
You did.
where.
I thought we asked him for both, that it covered all of it, Charlie.
Yeah,
We did.
yeah.
Apparently, there was an omission that. He didn't inform us of.
We need approval of $7,550 now to be spent out of.
Okay. What's our team kept looking like now? Because we've been nickel and diming that for 6 months.
Yes, you have. It has been small amounts, so it's
Right.
not too bad.
Yeah.
I think we've spent about $100,000 so far of your $250,000. Yes.
All right, so we're not in the danger zone yet. Which thanks, Charlie.
I mean, you gotta have it.
Right.
Especially since it's already installed.
Yeah. Oh, this is.
It's
Oh,
already
yeah, it's-
installed.
Yeah, this is a bill.
Yeah.
West.
Oops.
Oh. Isn't that special?
And a lot we can do with it. I'll make a
Yeah.
motion to go.
Well, then- I'm sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off there, Don.
That's all right. I just say there's not much we can do with it. They needed it. I said, I make a motion and we go ahead and pay it. It's already installed, right?
Mhm.
For the amount of $70,550,
$70,000?
$7,550.
I do.
Yeah,
That's that motion, Don?
yes. It's already installed, right, Charlie?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We can't hold it against the guy that did it.
Second.
All in favor?
Yeah, that's monthly report. If you want to go over that now.
I mean.
Nothing.
You want to,
I mean, it's,
we got it.
yeah, I
We need to read it out loud.
mean, it's simple maintenance. Done on the rig.
There's one that's out of service right now, but I'm waiting to for this one. Because I don't think the original estimate was quite repair.
Do we have any, is the material condition of any equipment negatively affecting our ability to respond to emergencies?
Negative, at one point in time, we had 2 ambulances out of service. Since supposedly the transmission is out of one of them, they're both the exact same year. The other part for 514 is on national back order for over 7 months, correct, currently. So since one transmission's out, I had to take parts off that one to move to the other one back on space.
Yeah, it's.
Ron, do you have any questions?
No, not at this time.
Thank you.
We have, dispatcher of.
So, I'm just basically here to request the amendment in county. Paper, public safety. Oh, I was requesting at least double them.
At least they were being 2.5.
Yes.
I'll make the motion to amend the county employee handbook, page 24, the sentence. Highway department or any other employees who work on an observed holiday will be paid at time and 1/2 for working on the holiday. 2, read. Highway department or any other employees who work on an observed holiday will be paid at time and 2/2. Double time and 1/2. Will be paid at double time and 1/2 for working on the holiday. And that should satisfy the state board of accounts.
Motion, is there a second?
That was by the State Board of Accounts, you say?
There was, what they found, was a discrepancy between our practice and our written policy, so we're correcting our written policy.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Then we have payroll claim. Motion to approve payroll claims in the amount of $291,125.39.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the vendor claims in the amount of $287,345.58.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the minutes from Monday, June 5th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We have solar discussion up. Last meeting, we discussed some things about it. I see there's a lot more faces that weren't here last time.
What I'd like to see, I see, like I said, there's some people we've already heard from. There's a lot of people we haven't heard from. I'd like to start with residents of the county we haven't heard from. We'll give everybody an opportunity to submit a comment, and hopefully we can work around the room fairly quickly. If you would like to make a comment, please stand, state your name. And we want to go as far as what township they live in.
We handed out a map with all of our addresses on it, so why can't everybody else tell theirs?
Would you like to make a comment?
You said you have to be resident.
Are you?
Art? What about if they own property in
Okay.
in
The
a
first ones will
project?
be the residents and then property owners and then anyone we've already heard. If there's anyone that feels they still need to chime in.
I just feel.
Your name, please?
Debbie Pavlock, I'm with Railroad Township. I'm surrounded by solar farms and it's the farmer's field. If they feel the need to sell it or they're ready to get out of farming, who are we to tell them they can't do it? It's their land. Especially if there's minimal houses around them, I don't see what it matters.
Sir? No? Sir, no, no. Anybody down the side row? No one down the hall?
Anybody with an interest to speak?
Okay,
Resident with an interest to speak.
yes, sir.
Kyle, name's Kyle, I'm a Smart Pine resident, obviously.
Which township you live in?
Wayne,
Okay,
so property values, you know, my $400,000 house is gonna be worth what, 250? Who's gonna make up the difference? You got any takers in here? I'm being smart, but
yeah,
you see where I'm going with that.
I understand the concern. I don't believe we've had any projections.
Yeah, there's not been one single bit of hard evidence to show that from any side of this, right?
Or, yeah, whether it's gonna.
You know,
I can't, I wish I could say for sure,
Right.
but nothing I've seen. I've gotten from anyone on either side of this issue can tell me with any sort of certainty whether property values in your condition would increase or decrease.
But can I have a raise of hands? Who would like to live next to solar panels? Anybody in here? How many out there are getting one?
Okay,
Sorry. but-
thank you.
Yes, sir.
Anyone, oh, it's a crowd. Huh? Back row. Anyone on the back row? Yes,
Robert Workman,
and your township?
Railroad Township.
Okay,
I'm a farmer in Railroad Township. I'm a small farmer. Worked very hard my whole life for what I have. It's my home. I live there on it. If anyone in here can tell me they believe that having a 10-foot fence with barbed wire stretched all the way around me is not going to drive my property value down to almost nothing, is not being truthful, because I don't know anyone in here that would buy a house surrounded with wire and barbed wire and chain link fence. If I wanted to live like that, I'd have bought land next to the Westfield Correctional Institute so I could look out and see it every day. My property value will plummet down to practically nothing. I own 2 or 3 pieces. One piece will be surrounded on 3 sides. It will be worth next to nothing. I wouldn't pay nothing for it. I drove an hour each way, 2 hours each way, my whole life to live in an agricultural country around the people I grew up, my friends and family. Many of them are in this room. Many of them are on the other side that I'm on. I wouldn't sell out my friends and my neighbors for all the money in the world. And I wouldn't crucify the poor animals that we share this ground with for all the money in the world. And they're doomed to a life of hanging on a fence, rotting in the sun. And to my many friends in the room, I'm sorry, that's my opinion. And I'll be damned if I'll sit and look at razor wire the rest of my life. If I have to walk away from my property and find a damn mobile home somewhere to live in, I'm not gonna look at razor wire the rest of my life and surrounded by a damn fence.
anyone in the rest of the back row? All right, we'll go around by the door to you. Yeah,
No, I'm Matt Danford. I own property in Railroad Township. I live in Davis Township.
okay,
And for the last 47 years, best I can figure, the Wheatfield Power Plant has been burning coal, which releases carcinogens, which causes cancer. I don't know if anybody in the room knows someone that has cancer. And you're never going to pin it on NIPSCO. And there's thousands of those plants across the country, but they burn coal to the tune of, if 2 units are on, because I work there, if 2 units are on, they'll burn a train of coal every 24 hours. That's 100 cars. Each car has 3 semis of coal. So you're burning 300 semis of coal every 24 hours, which releases carcinogens, which is prevailing winds out of the west, which comes this way. So since 1975, we've been soaking all that up. Every summer, our crops suffer like they have this year because we have a lack of rain. Now, as the farmers know, you watch the satellite, you see it get about the wheat field and either goes around us or dissipates. All summer rainstorms come on a cold front. That's why after a rain, when it's been hot out, it feels colder out. I'm not a meteorologist, but that's just the simple facts. You always love how cool it is after a rain. They have been robbing us of rain. So we've got all their carcinogens. We've lost out on rain, which equals money. We've lost out on crops for the last 47 years because of that. The only problem is our county has received no tax base out of that. That's all been in Jasper County. All the money goes to Jasper County. We've got nothing. Now we have an opportunity to do this a lot healthier than burning coal. I understand if you live right next to it, you don't want to live right next to it. I wouldn't recommend pitching a tent underneath one of the transformers. That's no good for you either. However, if you're looking to sell your property, just find somebody up north that you can say, I already got 3 sides of chain link up. All I got to do is cut the front off. And I'm just joking.
10 years, they're too old to start over.
I understand totally. This is an opportunity for us to receive money from this while we're cutting down on the cancer causing coal burning, while we're able to receive money and get rain back to the farmers that aren't interested in being a part of this. I totally understand that. I had an opportunity. I no longer live on the property. So it's a great opportunity for me to make some money on it. Meanwhile, I had to kick a farmer off. He happened to be in the room. Sorry about that, Charlie. But that's all I really got to say.
I believe you spoke at the last meeting, so we'll get back to you. Anyone in the third row would like to make a comment?
I just hope that the
Your name, please?
commissioners, Arlene Noble, California Township.
Okay,
I just hope the commissioners would say and look at the aesthetic value of our rural community. It's changed forever. And say enough is enough and give it a chance. We don't know what the long range effects are going to be of this either. We've heard rumors, this, the other, but I love our community. If I wanted to live in Carmel, Indiana with much more things, I would live there, but I like my rural community and it's changed forever. I call it Trash Alley City now. But if anybody wants to come out and see what we look at every day, come 35 to 200, our road is demolished. It's a washboard, 200 and 300. It's a sight to see. Irregardless, the money can never replace. And one other thing, the solar is not a commodity. We are agriculture producers that produce commodities that people and animals eat. You can't sell a solar commodity. Not to us. Thank you.
My name is Bernadette Braga. I live on 800 South. I recall, I've got a few problems with this solar thing. Years ago, our neighbors wanted to put up a junkyard because they needed a job. And they were hardworking people. And everybody, every neighbor around had to approve that before they could do it. And a lot of people were against it, and it didn't look like it was going to go through. And then my parents talked to the neighbors and said, hey, you got hardworking people here that are just trying to make a living. Let them do it. And they did it. And it was beautiful. And my point is, nobody asked me, and I got a 160-acre field right in my front yard. I face the south. Number one, China is making a lot. China is trying to bury the United States, and everybody that has got into this solar is helping China bury the United States. Number two, God gave everything that God gave us is for our use. And I believe in green energy where it's appropriate. I agree with all the beautiful farmland that God gave us to feed the world. And trading that farmland into solar, I think, is a big mistake. But I also think I have been done a great injustice. My old farmhouse burnt down in 2011 from a lightning strike. So I built a new house because I'm now 76 years old, and I built it for old age because I wanted to retire on this beautiful farming community. Nobody asked me if I wanted to have 160 acres of solar right in front of my house. And so I did a little bit of research, and I also found out that in some cases it is a health hazard, and it's a real health hazard. If lightning strikes one of those panels and it breaks open, the panels are filled with all kinds of toxic metal elements. And that's all because it's right in front of my house. And south wind is gonna bring all of that poison right into my house. My taxes are going up every single year. And I believe, because I'm an Army retiree, I moved around this country a few places. And so I have bought a house here when I lived there, and I bought a house there and I lived in it in a while and all that. And I know the first thing in real estate is location, location, location. And you're looking for the good neighbors around you, and you're looking for the few, And now my view is gone. My new house that I built, which was, a whole lot more, than what the old farmhouse was. So my taxes went way up. And now part of my taxes went up 33% this year. But that solar field has dropped that value, but I couldn't get an appraisal because the appraiser guys, they're all booked up. But I know if I wanted to sell that place, and I don't want to sell it because I built it to retire on it. I'm 76-year-old old now, and I'm a disabled veteran, okay? But I'll tell you what, if I were to sell that house, I wouldn't get a third of what I put into building it. And I am just sorry that my neighbors didn't tell me that they were planning on putting up solar right in front of me. I'd have found a way to buy that friggin' field.
Sir, do you have comment in the next row? Yeah.
Oh, there's a claim. But they were asking for people that we own property that we are into the solar. We're
Okay.
the solar people. Oh,
What's your name, please?
I'm Susan Woodward, and I'm the daughter of the late Mrs. Gloria Woodward, who was the daughter of Stanley and Mary Wasilewski, and our family has been in this county in Rayville Township for almost 100 years. And I'll tell you one thing, when my dad died and my mom they had just bought the property we live on. Nobody paid for it. My mom had to pay for it, and we had to really work for it. I have 2 other sisters. Right now, I can't work. I haven't been able to work for the past 6 years. And you want to know something? When we went to the county and asked for help, you know what we got? Ha! No, you own property. So property is a pro and it's a con. Now it's time for us to start making a little money because our family never took a rich vacation to Vegas or down to Florida or nothing. In fact, my whole family never got to go anywhere at one time because we were taking care of our property. And you know something? The minute we moved off of the property west of Sanpierre, everybody in the county was stealing off of that property. So right now, I'd be glad to put up that wire fence to keep people, farmers out of it. And I'm not talking about animals. I'm talking about people, my neighbors. And I know that some of my neighbors went right, they burnt the house down after they stole everything they could out of it. They went in there, we had antique toys stored up in the garage. You want to know something? We walked in there, there ain't a one in there. The whole floor was cleaned out. And you know who did it? Stranger. Probably the people that lived right across the way that couldn't wait when we got moved out of there. So you want to know something? It's time for our family to get a little bit of money off of it. And there's nobody that lives around us that we're gonna displace because we got a wire fence up there. No. In fact, the only ones to look at our wire fence is us.
Thank you. Folks have any comments?
He wants to.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm Clarence Gerke. We've got some property in Railroad Township. And we've been working with NextEra. And I don't think anybody here can deny that there is a climate change. It's not coming, it's already here.
Open
And
your eyes there,
I
everybody.
think that when they get done with this project, it's gonna give Nixco, where it's going, some new tools to work with to give us a cleaner environment instead of burning these fossil fuels. Something needs to be done because time is going on here, and if we don't do something, hopefully we haven't started too late. But I think everything they're doing is going in the right direction. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Now I'll go,
We are not resident, we don't proper
Okay.
people, we are not
okay, I'll
residents.
come back then. Sir?
Dan Jones from Wayne Township, and I think it's a property owner's choice to make the tools whether they want solar panels on their farm or not. I think it's another use for the property. We've been farming and sometimes we raise cattle or depends what the need is of time, and I think something like another option for land.
Mike Forrest, Sparrow Township, and we're looking at some, but not all of our property. Some ground's right for it, some's not. Some's highly erodible. You don't make much off the high yellow sand. You want to go have more sand, go to the beach, you know. We are on the watershed here. Stark County Railroad Township. Part of the water runs south, part of the water runs north. And where they're going is right down this. And Stark County is not a high productive farm ground unless you're by the rivers, river bottoms. You get farther south, Franceville, Madeireville, you get back in the clay, you get back up for Delta, you get back in the clay. There's higher production ground. The ground that we're taking out for solar panels here is not the high productive ground.
Property owner, not a resident.
Okay, I'll let. Had one,
Yeah, I'm Kevin Fetcher. I live in San Pierre. They got the solar panels going all around my house. I'm the same way. Nobody asked me about it, but. Now they're tearing up all the freaking roads and now they're telling me it's gonna be 2 years before they're gonna fix it or they're working on them. So now my vehicles and everything I gotta tear them up for 2 years while these guys screw around with the solar stuff. Yeah, I can't even get my bike out. I gotta have somebody come trailer it out to get to the freaking highway. Yeah, come up, drive around the San Pierre Road. It's only been down 3 days and they're already all tore to hell and yeah. Same thing, I'm with you, with the property values going down. Now, I didn't move out there gravel roads, and now I'm gonna have to deal with that stuff for 2 years and tear up my vehicles. The first day they put the stuff down, I didn't even make a quarter mile from my house and pop my front left tire. And turn around and head back home, but now I see anybody stepping up to. Yeah, it's a mess. I don't know if any of you guys live over there where the gravel's at yet, or the roads are all tore up. But I got the sim going past my house, one every minute, hauling ass, shaking my house. My house is bouncing all day long, but. Yeah, is Stark County gonna step up and take care of this stuff or what?
thank you. So think, all right,
Roberta Lee, Washington Township, I had to think about that.
okay,
So I wrote it down because I didn't want to get it wrong. Both my husband and I have absolutely no personal aversion to solar power. When installed, managed and used responsibly, it can definitely benefit both the environment and the communities. However, we do stand in strong support of a moratorium on further solar development in Stark County. Both we and the community have many varied concerns regarding industrial solar installations in our community. We cannot speak to all concerns, and we present one issue we feel immediately pertinent and actionable by the commission. Regardless of the current practice of calling industrial solar installations solar farming, these installations are not the same as farming. They are not the same as changing from planting corn to planting soy. They are not even the same as changing from fields to livestock. They are physical installations of metal, glass, and fencing that differ greatly from any practice immediately recognizable as farming. The leasing property owners, the solar companies, the utility companies, members of Stark County government, and surely the citizens of Stark County all know that these installations are not the same as quote unquote farming. We believe that Stark County overlooked their responsibility to the citizens of the county by not developing special zoning districts within the agricultural zoning definition that would require that public notice procedures take place for both homeowners
prior to leasing of the land and construction of industrial solar installations. We believe that a moratorium should be placed on further leases and developments until such time that not only the many varied concerns of the community can be more thoroughly discussed and answered, but also special zoning districts and public notification processes can be put in place through utility scale industrial solar installations. By not providing the citizens of Stark County their opportunity for comment regarding the installations, the property owners, the leasing property, the utility companies, the solar companies, and the government of Stark County will continue to operate with disregard and disrespect for the concerns of us as citizens.
At this time, I'll ask, are there any property owners in folks who own land in Stark County who have not yet gotten to speak? This is the folks that own property but don't necessarily live here.
I'd just like to know if they're gonna keep up on these roads. Like I said, it's been 3 days and they're already going to crap, you know? On top of, everything else.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And,
Property owner,
yeah,
not-
gotta get no-
Yeah, your name, sir?
Name is Byron, B-Y-R-O-N, Fitzgerald,
Okay,
Railroad Township. Owns about 200 and some odd acres in Stark County. Family farms for years, great grandfather back. And I intend to pass the property on to my daughters who are pro environment. And they feel as stronger than I do in terms of pro solar. My personal opinion is that I look at this as an opportunity to diversify my investment in Stark County. And if I have solar dollars that are going to be there every year, I'm more inclined to be, or not more inclined, I'm better able to pay my taxes. If I have a bad year in grain, I might be in a more difficult position to pay, where this is a steady stream of income. I'm not going to put all 200 and some acres into solar panels, but I am in favor of the concept. And as was mentioned before, burning coal, we know that we can't continue to do that. Solar technology will develop that will increase in proficiency and efficiencies. What we're doing now is that technology is 100 years old, and Henry Ford and Mercedes-Benz in 1890 have no fathom compared. I mean, no idea what we're doing now in terms of fossil fuels and Rockefellers, and so I mean, we're not there yet, but give us time to develop that technology. And so yes, I'm in favor of it.
thank you. Well, Larry, I think you spoke at the last meeting, so we've got some other people who I'd like to get to first.
I was thinking people are concerned about the roads and,
We can,
being here.
Larry, let me get to everyone else and then we can address what you want to bring up. Now, did you guys have something you want to bring up?
Yes, we have land in California Township. And Bob, I know you guys, a lot of people I know here. Our family is aging. I'm gonna be 66, my dad's 89. And our farm was unique because I spent most of my childhood picking up roots and picking up rocks. It was woods. And my dad did most of the bulldozer work, and so I was the gopher. But we changed. It has been a workable farm for many years. My dad is now 89 years old. I'm going to be 66, and I have a brother that's it's aging as well. So the second generation is not going to farm in our family. We found this to be the right to farm and the right. We do have solar. But I'll give you an instance. We have a parcel of land. It's 118 and a half, 119 acres. Currently, there is a fence with solar panels being made, but we also have 40 tillable acres on each side of it. And so we're still involved. We become medium-sized farmers to now hobby farmers. So we still are hobby farming solar is providing something that's income for us that are retired and a future for our grandchildren. And as far as the wildlife issue, I can tell you the fence, there is no barbed wire, and I'm telling you as a friend, there's no barbed wire. It is the livestock wire that we grew up with without barbed wire. And it's about 8 feet tall. There's no barbed wire. And I can tell you that deer and turkey and coyotes on our farm are flourishing. So I don't know about other, deer and turkey and coyotes are flourishing all around the solar panels, and also around the solar panels and inside, you have a year-round crop growing. You have a crop for year round. The deer and the turkey, the grain from it's like filter strips. So with filter strips, you have seeds. With the type of what's around the solar, you have plants that provide seed and forage for animals. And I can tell you they're flourishing. As far as the property value, from what I've seen, we've talked to people in the company of Mammoth, and there have been opinions of people thinking that my house won't be worth as much as it is. But there's no facts to that. And with the rising and the lowering of markets, the housing market really is not. And I say that because we bought some houses. We look to buy houses and make rentals of it. The housing market, there's no lowering of the market. And I know some of our neighbors, these are some of my neighbors here. We don't wish ill feelings, and we don't want to be selfish. We just say that from our own hands, we made the farm that you see. Not all of them. Some of them were already fields. But my father sacrificed for many years before we had irrigation. And so there were lean years in California Township. There's a lot of sand, and it's lean years. And the solar was something my father said, this is an opportunity for our family to not have to work as hard and to not have to gamble as much to have a future. So that's our point of view, is that we don't want to have to work as hard and gamble as much and still have a future for our grandchildren. Thank you.
I didn't catch your name at the beginning.
Dennis spoke.
Yes, ma'am.
Then it's different too. I'm his wife and we own property in the United States.
Yes.
Thank you.
Your name?
Margarita Vogt.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm just gonna talk about some of the issues that some of you have mentioned about the fence. My husband already mentioned it, and you can already see trees. The solar company has already planted some trees. So the trees are gonna grow up. You guys won't even see the fence and the solar. I've seen the trees. Okay? So I don't know, funny, but I've seen the.
Let her speak, please.
Okay, so another thing about the roads, I'm sure the county can talk to the solar people and they can fix it. Another thing about the property values, I have friends that are looking for houses right now. They know that they're gonna be solar. They don't care. They just want a house. And like my neighbor, we have solar also in Pulaski County, and my neighbor was very concerned. And what I said, if you want to sell your house, if you want to go and live another place, we won't cheat you. I'll go to the bank and get a loan, and we'll give you not the market value. I'll give you what you think is right. And I'm sure the farmers around, if you really want to, live in another place, if you don't want to see the trees and that fence, I still believe that is the land of the farmers. Another thing, I'm a teacher in North Judson. I just moved from North White to North Judson. You know how much a teacher makes the difference in North Judson versus North White? $10,000 or $12,000. So I'm thinking maybe with the solars, the teachers in North Judson, I don't know how it's in Knox. Oregon Davis is even worse. Oregon Davis, I don't even know. I work in Oregon Davis. When I moved from Oregon Davis to North White, I made $12,000 more. The same job, the same distance, 5 more minutes, and I made $12,000 more. I came back to Judson because of distance, and I just wanted to be around. And I know the last thing is the environmental issues, like if you are concerned about having solar. I talked to a teacher in North White, and he has a doctorate degree. And I told him, I'm gonna live around solar. Said there is no money enough, for me to put my health on my children's and my grandchildren's health to be worth it. And he said those lines, the electric lines are worse than those solars. Unless like 30 years from now, and if the people don't change the batteries, then it would be an issue. But right now, no, the electric lines are worse. Another thing, I say was gonna be the last one. My brother-in-law, Bill, he has sheep, and they're gonna be having the sheep with the solar. So we will have animals, and it's not gonna be, I believe that we'll keep our rural environment. Thank you.
Okay, yes, you in the back. Yeah.
I'd like to take it a little bit different direction. I'm
Yeah,
James Tice from Couch. I have property in Railroad Township. My brother raised his family there. I'm a beekeeper, and I have been for about 50 years. When we started beekeeping, we could make 150 pounds per year. If we make 30 right now, we're lucky for hives. They won't live over winter. And I'm a basic farmer. I worked in the post office, but I grew up farming. And neonicotinoids and your weed killers are killing my business. And we don't see any butterflies, we don't see any quail, we don't see any meadowlarks. And these solar panels are already planted, so the wildlife and the butterflies and the bees can have something to live. I'm a little bit excited just because of beekeeping, but I don't know whether I'm going to see it. I'm 95, and I may not be around here long enough to see this thing take place, but it's exciting to me.
So I'm Natalie White, that's my father, Ken Tice. Statistically, in Pennsylvania, according to, I wrote all of you a letter. In Bee Culture Magazine in 2019, solar in Pennsylvania, the bees are producing twice as much honey in solar fields than everywhere else, because they are required by law to plant native pollinator plants underneath these solar panels. And they cannot treat with chemicals. They cannot treat with chemicals in solar. So our animals are thriving, our insects are thriving in these solar areas. I just drove through Georgia. The solar is through a company out of Texas, but most of Georgia that is in solar now, they farm sheep. Bird sheep? I don't know. Sorry, I'm an art teacher. But they have sheep in their solar. They're also doing different animals, goats. They're working. In fact, there's a company trying to go into Porter County right now, who part of their thing is they have dedicated sheep farmers that they are trying to bring in with their solar. Porter County is obviously in their own thick of things. But we have to think. We have to. We are not. This can be good. I believe it's good. I believe it's good for our children. I believe it's good for us.
Yes.
But please, I'm an educator. Educate yourself. Don't let anybody fear monger you into anything. Do your research. There is plenty of statistical proof out there that this is you're not. This is a good thing. Okay, the bees are thriving, the animals are thriving. And by the way, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I thought those solar fields in Georgia were gorgeous. Yes. And I would rather see solar than nature vine.
Is there anyone down the hall that would like to make a comment?
I think.
Hi. My name is Mark Barlow. And I did a little bit of homework today, and it appears that 8 to 10% of our counties go into solar panels. which I feel is a substantial amount of property. And the talk of the moratorium seems to be a most appropriate approach to take a pause so we could properly view this vast experiment that's occurring all around us. We really didn't have much say so when this all started. I'm sorry. If we knew the gravity of this situation, we should have been able to vote on it. And since we did not have that opportunity, I think it's now the time, it's a time to take that pause, find out pro and con of everything going on. And I think everyone in this room would learn something from what's going on now, so we can make appropriate decisions down the road. Thank you.
Yeah. Last chance, anyone over here? Any comments? Yes, ma'am. Your name?
I'm Loretta Kozlowski. I taught here at Fox for 17 years. And we're a part of the Dunn's Bridge project. And the company has just been very good, very forthright with what they've been doing. They are really trying hard to keep the community and the environment going well. They've changed things over time to improve things when they found things weren't, quite up to par. And the other thing is, I just want to reiterate about the income. More income in the area for the farmers, more income in the area for the county, because you'll be getting more taxes. And again, that could just be so good for Stark County. I mean, Stark County needs that, and would highly, welcome that. And again, I was going to say exactly what the other lady said. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I think they're gorgeous. And when I drive down State Road 10 now and see those, I feel good. I feel good that we are actually doing something to help improve us.
Okay, Larry. Your turn now.
Well, I'm thinking right at this time, we've had a lot of road concerns. Could we have Mr. Dipert, our Stark County Road Superintendent, just tell us briefly what we're gonna do as far as NextEra is concerned? I don't know about the other companies, but what NextEra is gonna do with our county roads to maintain or improve them as they go through this project.
And you have a quick recap of what we've come to an agreement on?
Yeah.
With maintain things as construction progresses.
So as Larry said, my name is Dan Dykert. I'm the highway superintendent for Stark County. So we have been in close contact with NextEra and working with them on the condition of the roads over there. There's 11.4 miles involved in this project. So on June 12th, they began putting 6 inches of number 53 stone on the road, and they've been compacting it down to 4 inches. They've widened the roads. The roads were running anywhere from 15 to 17 feet. Now they're going to be 20 feet wide. On this Wednesday, they're going to start spraying calcium chloride on the stone that they put down. Calcium chloride is going to make the stone act like cement. It's not going to be cement, but it's going to act like cement. So they're going to spray the roads on Wednesday. They're going to start grinding the stone in the roads up on Thursday. So we're going to end up with a base material 6 to 8 inches thick that is going to set up in one big chunk. So even though the roads are going to be gravel, they're going to be hard gravel. So when the project is in, like, I'm going to say 2 weeks before the 4th of July is what they're hoping to do. They're going to go back and spray the top layer of the stones again with calcium chloride to help with the dust. So we're going to end up with a big solid base, like I'm saying, this thick, that's going to be hard. It's not gonna be a typical gravel road where you hear the tinging on your car. It's gonna be a very durable surface. So the roads are gonna stay like this till the end of the project, which we're projecting
End of next year.
12 of 24.
Yep.
So in the spring of 25, we're gonna go in, when they're done with the heavy use trucks, we'll go in and we'll surface these roads with 3 layers of chip seal, and then in the following year of 26, we'll put another coat of chip seal on. So all in all, the investment that Next Era is putting into the roads at today's prices, we're looking at like $227,000 a mile that they're investing into our roads. So my road budget for paving is like $750,000 a year. So this is
The
a,
whole county.
yes. So at the end of the project, it's gonna be like a $3.2 million project for the roads.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes.
My name is Becky Durdorf, and although I don't live in Stark County, I live about a mile out and I farm in Stark County. We also are involved with the Dunn's Bridge project. For what, I'm a numbers person. So I calculated out, back in 21, the governor signed into law a solar land base rate for assessment purposes. And so for the rate for 2023 that you pay in 2024 for regular ag is $1,900 an acre. The solar is $13,000 an acre. So the net amount above and beyond just regular ag is $11,100 per acre. I don't know how many acres you have of solar, but I just use 5,000. And that would bring into the county an additional $55,500,000 of assessed value. Kind of what Loretta was talking about. And then also, besides the increase in the assessed value, these people who live in Stark County and they're renting their land are going to make more money. So then you also get an increase in revenue through the Indiana tax return county tax, which I think is 1.7% for Stark County. So I see all of this really as great opportunity for Stark County, for the county, for the townships and the school. So that's really what I can say.
There's one lady you haven't heard from yet tonight.
I said it before.
Yeah, well, we're
All right,
back
I
around.
want to read this because I want to get through it without getting confused and muddled in. Okay. I don't have any contracts with the solar company. I do own farmland in Classified County, Porter County, LaPorte County. So I'm all about farming and I know the trials involved in farming. I've lived in North Judson all of my 70+ years. When many of us were growing up in North Judson, it was a prosperous downtown and there were job opportunities. This is no longer the case. There is sometimes a feeling of nostalgia that change will hurt our community. But change has happened for the last 50+ years, and we have witnessed the slow decay of the foundations of our community due to negative year after year job opportunities. The last statistic that I found was 5% last year, negative growth for job opportunities in Stark County. The elimination of most of the retail in our downtown North Judson and the lack of small businesses owned by our residents. And the decline of academic success in our school system. Currently, 21% of our North Judson students, I graduated from North Judson, 21% have math proficiency. That's a shame, okay? 32% are proficient in reading. We have an 88% graduation rate. These are stunning statistics, which I didn't even realize until I researched it. I have never seen a factory open in North Judson in my life. We had the pants factory and we had Flintcoat when I was a kid. Of course, they're all gone. We didn't even have a grocery store in North Judson for 7 years. Why am I saying this? We need new sources of revenue. The farmers are not gonna keep paying more and more and more. We've been the mainstay support in our town. Thank you to the residents, but the farmers were here and have been here for many, many, many years. So we need these new sources. What are these increases in revenue? You've alluded to some of them. I went to the Purdue University study, ag econ professor Larry DeBoer did a study of what happens in Indiana. And one of his statistics happens to be on the Dunn's Bridge too. Now that had a tax abatement. So the influx of funds into our little North Judson community was diminished because of the tax abatement. That means that $672,000 per year for 15 years goes to economic development countywide, and another $202,000 in property taxes. That's $874,000 per year going into the county. Now, there's also local option tax you're referring to. The statistics from Professor DeBoer, $366,000 in local option tax increase goes into the county. $1,200 a week for these people working in the construction area. That's nice wages for kids in North Judson, young men in North Judson, young women. Anyway, there's $50,000 per acre personal property assessments on the solar arrays. That's a lot of tractors, okay? You're not going to get that from the farmers. With the Dunn's Bridge 2 extension, which is proposed to be about the same size as the original, $500,000, if there's no tax abatement, $500,000 a year goes into the North Judson school system. We could do a lot to help our students with $500,000 a year. That's added to the $100,000 from Dunn's Bridge initial. That's $600,000. In addition, Professor DeBoer said that it will give us in Wayne Township and the surrounding school district townships 6 to 10% reduction in our property rates. So how does this benefit our North Judson community? It improves the instructional resources by funding our North Judson schools at the tune of approximately $600,000 a year. We improve the school system, we encourage. That's a very, very important thing for property values, is having a good school system. That's your mainstay of a small rural community. And that will encourage young families to come to our area. It's all us old folks that are here in North Judson. We don't get a lot of young families. But people that want to move somewhere in a nice community want to look at the school system. With those people moving in, they will bring more retail opportunities, like North Judson having a real grocery store. That would be wonderful. Not the dollar store. And we need shops for our basic needs. You can get a pair of shoes. Just basic needs. Provides funds for service budgets, fire departments, senior services, police departments, health departments. Wouldn't it be nice if we, Stark County, would provide a grant for a doctor to come to North Judson? We need healthcare in North Judson. That would be part of this economic development. It lowers our property taxes. It creates temporary construction jobs that are very well paid, and it creates permanent solar maintenance jobs. And for the farmers, it stabilizes their family farm ownership. So we don't lose our land ownership, which is happening now in Stark County, to New York City investors, a la Cirrus, that come in, bid up the land, and don't live in North Judson. We need people to live in North Judson, to have a stake in North Judson, and to be proud of North Judson. I love North Judson. I choose to live here. There's no single cure for the problems that plague our small town, but the solar industry will provide the magnitude of revenue that North Judson desperately needs to begin the revitalization of our community.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, my name's Leslie. In 1975, kids go put a power line. Put that 80 right down the middle My mom and her sister were irate about that. And they wound up in court, and guess who won? At least with solar panels, the property owner is in control of what happens. If you want to sell it, rent it to our company, you can. Not with a power line. You don't get a choice. At least you guys have a choice, what you want to do with your property. And if your neighbor does something you don't like, there's not a lot you can do about it.
Well, but
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't get to.
Landowners.
I pointed directly at Larry and he asked about the roads.
Because that was a concern that Mr. Petro had back. And I'm also for you told the fourth one.
Oh, please. Yeah. Okay.
All right, so, Larry Waffle, Railroad Township, I've lived here all my life. I farmed all my life. I farmed since I was 10 years old. The guy that just talked about the towers, we had those towers go through farms. We farmed around them for 45 or 50 years. And we're very concerned with what happens on our farms. You know, we do research. We just don't let it happen. We research for good companies. We research fertilizer prices, fuel prices. That's all winter long, all summer long. So on this project, when it was introduced to us, I had already had solar panels that I put up on my farm. I've had solar panels there for 4.5 years. It's not a commercial, but it's a private ownership on those. And I have lived those for 5 years. People say, I would never put those in front of my house, but they're there. They're on our main farm. No negatives on these solar panels. So I wanted to see the company that had made the proposal to come to Railroad Township. I wanted to see how good they were, how big they were, who owned them. And that was NextEra. And I wanted to see a tour of their corporate headquarters. I didn't think I could get that. But through a request, I was given that option to go down there and tour the facility. They're in Juno Beach, Florida. They are just the greatest, cleanest run large corporation. They are USA owned, 14,000 employees across the whole United States. They are backed with capital. They are publicly traded. They are a Fortune 200 company. I just saw no negatives. It was all positives. I come back just amazed at what I had seen, and that's what made me want to be part of it. That in my property rights. And one thing I did want to say, because I've heard this comment before time and time again, scorched ground underneath solar panels. So untrue, so unreal, scorched ground. I have had those panels there for 5 years, and there's beautiful daisies. Mr. Tice, 95 years old, he comes to the meeting concerned about honeybees and hives. That has been my project because of Mr. Tice. I think we could do these things on these solar panels. I have proved that we have beautiful yellow flowers that we grow there, and they're great for the bees. I guess that's.
The heat on the panels, they can shut off.
Okay, one other thing, in Juno Beach at the main headquarters. These, and Chris, correct me if I'm wrong. And this was a very secure place. I just wasn't allowed to walk in there. I was escorted in there by people. I'm sure I was checked out to see if I was a USA resident.
They did a background check on you.
And they can shut, if they have a hotspot here in Jasper County or Starr County in one of their panel farms, they can shut that down in 30 seconds remotely from Florida. It's monitored 24/7, 365. On those screens all the time.
Yep, we monitor them locally as well.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
First of all, I want to thank, I'm Deb Waffle, farm landowner in the solar projects. I want to thank everybody here that is has negative thoughts or feelings about it for being so respectful. I've been following the Facebook page, as I know Charlie has. We've been called stupid, we've been called greedy, we've been called everything, and that's why I wanted to speak up. Because like Larry said, we've done our research, and I want to tell anybody, if you're concerned about what's gonna happen around those panels, get out the ordinance that Stark County has. It's very specific, very drawn up and carefully thought out and signed in 2019. So I thank you for that. I'm a lifelong farm girl. And I wanted to tell you to read the ordinance. As you can see here, it's not all about greed. A lot of this is about need for people. So we do respect our neighbors. He can vouch for how many times I've talked him out of a hog farm, only because of the neighboring communities. And we, as far as house values, I knew our neighbor's home was going to be for sale. I knew a friend of ours was looking for exact size home, property and everything. I said, Larry, should we tell him? And he said, yeah, we called him. He said, that home may be surrounded by solar panels within 3 years. And he said, okay, bought it, $350,000 home. So that's just one example. We went through 3 hours to experience up and running, finished solar, huge solar project east of Indianapolis. I didn't want to like it. I'm sorry, I've been a hard sell. And I couldn't believe how beautiful it was. And I thought we can be part of this. And it was just quiet, it was serene. People commented, oh, the grass is brown. It was the end of winter and it was grassy. All we could hear were birds chirping, a frog croaking, and then a dog maybe in the background. I have pictures of the decibel reader we took out there and got as close as possible to the transformer. It read 55. Online on YouTube, you will see a decibel reader that has a loud siren-like noise coming from a transformer that reads 55 decibel. You read the words at the bottom, it says low office noise. So you can't believe everything you see on Facebook. I think that sound was dubbed in there. I noticed on the Facebook, I follow because I want to know what people are concerned about. Some of the loudest people from Railroad Township moved here 2 to 3 years ago. They were very unhappy, understandably, but the ordinance was already in place. So when you move here when it's already in place, who has more rights to their property when we followed the ordinances for 4 years very closely. So also on Facebook and all around, I don't know about here that's on their Facebook page. They're saying this was done in secret. You guys snuck this up on us, you terrible politicians. I have printed off as many until I ran out of paper, articles on every commissioner's meeting, every county council meeting, the Stark County Economic Development reports. Can tell you there's at least 50 articles on WKBI over the last 4 years. There was nothing done in secret. WKBI is our only source of information. Where else are you going to know about it if you don't read? And it was probably in the leader too, but KBI is my source of information. I read it every day because I want to know what's going on. After we did the decibel reader measurements of the solar field, we were reading at a restaurant. I wonder what the decibel reading is here. It's 84 in the restaurant. I have pictures if you don't believe me. Okay, and lastly, why is this important? And we started out just looking at how it would benefit our family and our neighbors, how it would affect our neighbors. I'll tell you, we really work to accommodate people who are solars may be close to their home. But then after all these arguments on Facebook and being called stupid, that we don't know what we're doing, we're going to be left with junk all over our fields and stuff. I started thinking, you know what? I remember articles about the Schaefer generating plant in NIPSCO right down the road from us. And I started looking up and researching. A Clean Air Task Force said the death and disease attributed to fine particle pollution from Schaefer generating station. Full article about it. Another article, EPA high hazard cold waste dam at Schaefer generating station.
Northern Indiana Public Service Company Clean Air Act settlement, a huge lawsuit against him from the US government. And then a 2016 Center for Public Integrity USA Today identified NIPSCO Schaefer plant as one of the nation's 22 super polluters. Dr. Cameron Gilbert, some of you may know him, he was the CEO of Stark Hospital for a few years. And I asked him one time, what's this rumor I hear about this band of leukemias and cancers across our part of the state? And he said, it is legitimate, it is fact. We have a higher percentage of leukemia and cancer across our part of the state. And it says heart disease. And I'm one of the heart disease people, and my parents didn't have heart disease. And we live right downwind, as Matt said, from NIPSCO, this Schaefer plant. I just wanted to say to you guys, we have worked in good faith under all the ordinances that you guys have signed from 2019 on, planning commission, commissioners, and county council people have signed off on it. There was an updated amendment just a few months ago that you guys all signed. We have not trusted these solar companies. We have hired attorneys. They have picked through these contracts with a fine-tooth comb. We have considered everything, but we never considered our county would pull the rug out from under us after 4 years of following everything you guys set us out to follow. And if we're not permitted yet, we might lose all that. All of that faith and terrible, hard family decision making. So we just say, Pat, maybe we don't want our county covered with solar, but who am I to say that I still should stop somebody else if I'm going to do this? And yes, our home will be surrounded by solar. And I don't work for the solar company. They would not want me. Is
there anyone who came here tonight that wanted a chance to talk that hasn't gotten one yet?
Hey, Mark.
Yes, Dave.
You know, would you mind if I just said just a couple of minutes of something? I was appointed by the commissioners to be the liaison with solar, and I've taken a pretty heavy beating, but I wanted to share some thoughts and a suggestion, if you don't mind.
Be as brief as possible, please.
Well, I'll be extremely brief, but one of the things I will say is that, I've, brought a lot of information out and heard both sides, shared information. Some people were happy, some not. But one of the suggestions I just wanted to make was, or just a discussion item, is that I have found that the main thing people say is that they've been misinformed or uninformed. So what I would suggest is that if the commission, for example, was going to make a motion to table for now, but keep this in consideration, I would say, let's set a time limit, like every quarter, maybe, starting September 1st or starting now, and then the update on September 1st. What's the progress of the project? How many acres are committed? How many are developed? How many bees have flourished? I mean, we could set a list of criteria, but since and I will say, NextEra has been the best and improving. And I've said this to every one of the companies that they need to market better. And some people, when I say market, they think I mean sales. Marketing isn't just sales. Marketing is giving you information. But what I think we should do is put together and commit to it as a county that we're going to provide all this information on a quarterly basis, just so everybody's aware. And if it starts to get out of hand, that'll be your telltale sign, or we can work on, some kind of limits. And I'll hold it to that. But I think we could do a better job of getting information out there. It really shouldn't be our job, but we could take that on. And I think if we did that on a quarterly basis, that might be, make the public feel a lot better about what's going on.
Okay. Lisa?
Real quick, and this is kind of a spinoff from Dave's comment. I do have information. I have the Purdue study for NextEra. That's the Stark County statistics, and I have information from Hoosier Solar. And if anybody would like a copy of either of these documents, they both have a lot of good information, and they're here for the taking.
That's it?
Yep.
Thank you. Yes.
I am not a landowner or resident, so I will only speak if you feel it's okay.
You are?
I am Connie Neininger with the Center for Infrastructure and Economic Development.
You want to hear from her? Okay.
Okay. Our center, we are a national policy organization that was formed here in the past year. I have worked in renewable energy since 2006. I live in White County. I helped develop the wind and solar projects in White County, so I'm familiar with them. I've worked with landowners. The center is here, though. Some of my past jobs, I was out there really working on one side or the other. The center is here as a neutral organization that really helps you, the county officials, determine the best policies that fit for your community. So I'm here to offer our services. You know, you're considering a moratorium. There's a lot of research and resources available. We have some that we would like to make available if you should decide a moratorium is in the best interest. I really do ask you to step back and think about that, because that could actually send the wrong message. You can, if it's because your policy doesn't have certain things in it, we can help you review your zoning ordinance and determine if it's got the right things in it without a moratorium. But again, I appreciate you asking for community input, because that is really going to help you to determine, do you need the moratorium or do you not? Can you do what is needed? Are there specific circumstances that require that moratorium? Or is it just because of personal opinion, comments, a lot of comments? But again, stop and think. We recommend that you really consider the rationale for that moratorium. And they should not be for overly long periods. You know, maybe look at 3 to 6 months, even 9 months, but you can always extend them if need be. If you find out that the reason you were putting that moratorium in place was not accomplished in that time, if it's really to rewrite your zoning ordinance. You know, I want to make sure you're aware we are here to help. We have copies of zoning ordinances from across the country. We work with a lot of universities and the National Renewable Energy Lab to do the research on these types of projects. So I thank you for giving me a few minutes. I'll leave you my cards if there's any way we can help you as you go forward.
And I didn't mean to give the impression that I'd forgotten you. I do remember we
No.
both spoke at the groundbreaking at
Yes.
the drive-in theater.
Thank you. May I have 60 seconds?
Yes.
Got to say I was from California Township, and I forgot to say that my paved road now is partly gravel, but the most important thing that nobody has addressed, and I'm for the moratorium. The waste product. Nobody has said or studied people that have had solar for 30, 40 years and what they did with the panels when they wore out. That has been a problem with disposal because the toxicity that is inside the panels. The only thing I mentioned was that if they get hit by lightning and split open, I'm gonna have all that poison right in my front yard and I was not notified. The longevity of what you do with those panels after they wear out. That's a question and I think that needs to be studied.
Let's get Mr. Wicker. He's held his hand up a couple times.
You say skip me or? As much as I'm sure everyone else heard that too. Before I thought Rachel's been having her hand up and she's behind the post, so she wanted to say something.
I'll go ahead and speak. Oh, I'm gonna come up here if you don't mind.
Okay, you are.
Rachel Connor, Hoosiers for Renewables. Commissioner Bankley, is my audio all right?
Yes.
How you
Yes,
feeling?
it is.
Charlie?
Good, thank you.
Good. I'm the executive director of Hoosiers for Renewables. We're a statewide organization that advocates for renewable energy of all types in across the state. We have 26,000 advocates across the 92 counties. There are probably 30 to 40 counties that are really prime locations for the development of renewable energy. Deb mentioned Randolph County. That's where you went east of Indianapolis, just actually on the Ohio line. I'm from not far from there. So I went to EDP Renewables Global Energy Day last week. And when I drove into the county on 36, I got to tell you, I was pretty excited. When you drive in, you see the shorty turbines first. And as you get in a little bit further, you start to see solar panel sections. Those are interspersed in the shorter turbine project footprint. And then they have the tall turbines on the west side of the county, closer to the Ohio border. You also see a number of Angus cows grazing. You see some sheep grazing. You see round bales of straw. You see healthy agriculture. So I want to point out that I know we're talking specifically about solar here, but for solar or wind, renewable energy is a dual use option for farmers. Oftentimes, you can engage in grazing, you can engage in agrivoltaics with harvestable wheat, which Soul Systems is looking into in Spencer County with Kernza, which is a branded intermediate wheatgrass. There are a number of ways that farmers can diversify their income, and not just families who are looking to retire from the farming business, but younger farmers who are able to purchase ground with a lease option, execute that lease, and see some steady income when they're dealing with fluctuating commodity prices. Right now, today, your nearest corn and soy futures are up. Wheat is down. I don't know if anybody else gambled on $8 wheat. I did. That did not happen this year. Class 3 milk, fluid milk is down. If you milk cows, I don't think you guys have a lot of dairy in this part of the state. I am from a dairy farm myself. So it provides opportunities. I heard some people snickering at the discussion of honeybees and sheep grazing. Most people have the bottle of honey in their house. I've got several, and most of my husband's hunting socks and hunting gear are a wool blend of some sort for colder months. Those are important commodities here in the United States, and I'd rather not import them. But I also want to say that I appreciate the time that this county has taken to do a very detailed ordinance. I appreciate all of the landowners that have come tonight to speak. And my organization is available with any resources should you have questions. We've got studies on our website. I will be around. I've got my business card, and I'd love to speak with anybody who's got questions. And then very last thing, the young lady in the back of the room, you have very patiently waited through a very long meeting. Very proud of your good behavior, young lady. You're off to a good start with your civic participation. Now you can go.
Yeah. I'm Larry Wicker, the center of county, I'm 5 years old. I own property in Stark County. In fact, I went to high school at the same time Barbara did, so I put down my notes also on paper. But I'd like to say the solar projects will provide great revenue for the county. Now, I was an economic development director. I was a commissioner at one time, and I've always been interested in the economic health of Stark County, and this will give a lot of revenue to the county. The county has the opportunity to do things like infrastructure improvement and quality of place projects, which would never be possible without these solar developments. Some examples of things that can be done are roads, bridges, broadband, internet, sewer and water extensions, and park and recreation projects. It has been stated that we need to take time to see if all this works out. Well, there are solar farms across the country and around the world that have been in place for many years, and it has been proven to be a great way to generate electricity. They are affordable and non-polluting. The developers have paid the communities what was expected, so there is nothing left to prove. When automobiles were first introduced, there were people who wanted to keep their horse and buggy. It was the same with the introduction of the railroads, airplanes, telephones, computers, and the internet. There are always skeptics, and that is okay. We allow free choice in this country. But what always happens is that the new technology is adopted. Every time when there's a better way of doing something, our society accepts it and adopts it. This is the same for solar projects generating electricity. It has also been stated that there are 6 counties that put either a moratorium or an acre cap on solar development, and that is true. But there are 92 counties in Indiana. And it is also true that 86 of those counties have not put that type of restriction on solar development. So I hope that Stark County remains one of the 86. All right. We got a couple restarts.
Oh, I haven't heard of you back yet, sir.
John Robbins, I guess my only question was how many temporary jobs or permanent jobs for the whole county is it gonna create?
I didn't memorize that number.
We got some,
They should be able to answer that.
Okay,
Could I say something
we'll
about?
let her answer that. She seems to be knowledgeable.
I just wanted to say hello. My name is Chris Blount. I'm the project developer for the Hoosier Solar Project. If you're not familiar with that project, it is east of the city of Knox, between Knox and primarily between Knox and Hamlet. And I've heard tonight a lot about not knowing what's happening or not being told. So publicly inviting anyone in that project zone to an open house in Hamlet at the firehouse on July 20th. That's open. I wanted to talk a little bit and piggyback. I appreciate NextEra paving the way. Thank you, Barbara, for all of that research that you did for bringing that to the table. On top of that, we're about 3 years and $6 million into development of the project between Knox and Hamlet. Through environmental studies, the research we've done to make sure that the project is properly cited and placed in the landowner option payments that are going out. We expect to invest another $772 million in this project for a total economic development for Stark County, its infrastructure and its residents of over $1 billion, including 27 permanent jobs on our project. And do we have a number for
It was like 1,300 temporary jobs.
1,300 during construction for the Hoosier Solar Project. So we are one of 3 developers in the county.
Okay.
2 currently under
1720 jobs. 1,700.
1,720. So I'll be around afterwards if anyone else has questions about that project.
Chris, do you have an answer to like his question being in?
Yeah, on a typical project, there's about 250 construction jobs created, and then for anything like 150 megawatts, we looked at about 2 to 3 like permanent skilled jobs where they're maintaining the solar facilities, performing maintenance, and those are extremely long-term jobs, but it scales with the size of the site.
Chris, do you contract with any group or company for your long-term maintenance for your larger maintenance, not just like a panel breaks?
They just, yeah,
I don't know if you
depends
did.
on the project.
Some companies do, like Engie, they have a union under contract to do their maintenance. It depends.
Do you have another comment you want to make? We'll go to him and then you.
Yes, about jobs, what I want to say.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to point out that lady just took off. She, like, everybody's opinions are great. I love democracy. Thank you, whether you're for it or against it. But she mentioned like an actual proposal of putting this moratorium in. And we have elected officials here. And I just wanted to bring up that our founding fathers put in a whole lot of thought on how this government was laid out. And George Washington, in his farewell address, stated that he was in support of the new constitutional government, calling an improvement on the nation's original attempt at the Articles of Confederation. There is a point here. Washington warns the people that political factions may seek to obstruct the execution of the laws created by the government, or to prevent the branches of the government from exercising the powers provided to them by the Constitution. Such factions may claim to be trying to answer popular demands or solve pressing problems, but their true intentions are to take the power from the people and place it in the hands of unjust men, not in this case, but government. And the moratorium that I heard presented would take the power out of the landowner's hands and give it to 3 men in this case, who I'm not calling unjust by any means, but is that what we want to do? Is that what we're going for? That we don't want the power to be in our hands as landowners, because there are some people upset with the project. That is their constitutional right. And I'm glad they showed up here to express that. But I don't say that we take the power out of our hands, because if the project was for people with just 2 acres, and then they were going to get $1 million and the farmers are out in the wind, I don't think the farmers should be able to block them from getting it. I'm for our Constitution. I'm for democracy. I'm for the republic as the way we were founded. And I don't know if you guys are with me or against me, but I want to bounce the tables and say that we went through all the proper channels. Our elected officials have handled this exactly the way they're supposed to. They thought what was best for us was to allow this project in. And I think it'd be a mistake to look at this and go, well, there's a few upset people, so we need to block any of the additional landowners. Somebody just slightly east of where we're at, we're in, Larry's gonna make all kinds of money. He did all the homework to decide he owns that land. That's his family land. That's his prerogative. I'm a 5-generation landowner here. And we've owned land in this county since 1903. And so I know that I'm not as old as some of you here. I am 45, lived here my entire life. I've never had an address anywhere else. I just want to say that I think we should leave that in the hands of who the landowners decide what's done with their land. And I want to thank the elected officials for all the work you've done. And I know that you don't want to be here any later than you have to be tonight. You put in hours and hours on this, and thank you, all three of you, Mr. Binkley also.
Thanks.
Here, quickly, please.
Yes. My son, 23-year-old, graduated from Morgan Davis, went to Ivy Tech, got me a certificate of business. Couldn't make any money with a certificate of business, went to work at the trailer factories in Goshen for 3 years, making lots of money. Tired of driving. The union, he found out that the union was hiring people. I don't know, it's not the union hiring them, it's the union placed them with the company, Cupertino Company. I don't know if his next era is Whitfield. So he went there May 16, making 30 something an hour. And if they worked Saturday, it was overtime. And if you work Sunday, double. And if you work the 6 or 7 days, $100 more. He loved it. You know where he is now? Wisconsin, working for a solar plant in Wisconsin because Whitfield closed. I mean, they are done, not closed, they are done. So there are no more jobs with the union around here. So he's in Wisconsin making $42 an hour for a 23-year-old, really hardworking person, because it's hard to be working under the sun.
With the solar company?
With a solar company, working with a solar company in Wisconsin. So I really hope that, that we can have more jobs, not just for him. I am a teacher. And I see the kids don't want to go to college. I don't know what is it that the boys, they don't want to go to college. They just want to go to work. Thank you.
I thank you all for your comments, for coming in, participating in this discussion. So what do you want to do next, sir?
Donnie, you got any opinions on your thoughts?
Yeah, my thoughts, I'm kind of like a lot of the farmers are saying, we didn't buy that land. They bought that land for a reason. I don't mind looking into stuff, to make sure everything's right, but I don't want to stop what's moving now. That makes sense?
Yeah. And for my part, I came into this wanting a government that gives the lightest touch possible. I mean, for the most part, and now I know I'm included in this, but politicians are pretty dumb. And they don't make great decisions. I've seen in other areas, liberties getting eroded by the vocal minority. I don't want to have a heavy hand in what private enterprise does. So long as you're not infringing the rights of another, I don't think we need to interfere with how people choose to live their lives. And so I don't think it's appropriate for us to place either a moratorium or a cap. We've said, and this was a decision made before I came into office, I just happened to agree with that initial solar ordinance. Anything zoned to ag is fair game. And I want to give every business owner every opportunity to diversify their revenue streams. We have all these farmers that have owned land, so a lot of it generationally, and with the challenges seen in normal farming operations around here, growing corn and soybeans, fewer and fewer small, and when I say small, I mean less than 1,000 acres total, survive. And every year, it seems like, farms consolidate, larger investment firms come in, we move closer to from agribusiness to industrial ag. And you know, as more generations go through, there'll be more families like mine. You know, my grandfather bought land after he got home from World War II, farmed 80 acres till he retired. My dad's still farming that ground. I have not driven or been in a combine since I was 13 years old, and I probably will not between now and the end of my days. So something, if we can find some way for that business to be productive and still stay within a local control, not have to worry about some potentially foreign-backed investing firm buying up our ground that we're not making any more of because we don't have any more swamps to drain. That's not something I want to obstruct.
Well, that's the whole point of this. We wanted to get to hear everybody's opinion. Last meeting, there was more folks that weren't, or, I mean, there was different folks here.
It did, the last meeting, the feedback did skew more towards opponents of this. I don't, that's part of what I think the beauty of Stark County is. We have fewer rules when it comes to building things. That's part of what attracts people here. We have fewer, if you want to live in an area where you can tell your neighbors what to do, move somewhere that has an HOA. Don't move out to the country.
I have one more comment, please.
Yes, okay.
Robert Workman again here. I know, I've heard in the past that the people who are most affected adversely, surrounded on three sides, right up to them, is there going to be any kind of consideration? I know there is already been consideration of those people. They've been bought out. They've been paid off in different ways. Is there any kind of consideration to the people who are affected the most in an adverse way?
I
know that's going on.
I've heard rumor of these companies participating in a good neighbor policy where they compensate.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay. That's part of the private transaction, and that's not something I want the government I'm participating in involved in.
So that will be directly in the courts.
Is he asking about the danger or something, Charlie? I can't.
Close to your home or close to your 80 acres?
No, for example, the piece of property we have out there on Medesi's, coming on three sides, but we got a 3.5 acre parcel there. They're coming around three sides of us right now. So they will be shortly. Now that adversely affects that piece of property. It's worth approximately $400,000 before this happened. It's not going to be near that. Everyone in this room, forget about the studies. Everyone in this room knows that you would not want to move right on in the middle of that. I wouldn't do it. And I don't think many people in this room would do it, would want to do it. Is there going to be any kind of set aside for, I understand that this is going to happen. And I understand that my friends and neighbors here have a right to do with their property, but they feel best. But there are some, in some applications that, like the one of our property there on 800, where the Medesi farm is, we are going to be directly affected in an adverse way. Now, this good neighborhood policy, is that just on a want-to basis? Is there going to be anything set aside for people that are affected in a very adverse way?
It's not part of the ordinance, and if like any other civil matter, if you feel that someone's done something that takes away value from it, yes, the remedy is in force.
Okay. Okay.
Did you talk to him? We held out 20 acres around a friend's house. He can talk to him.
I know you guys have worked very hard with this, and I have very many friends in this room. I don't want to injure any friendships of any people I know. I've known most of them my whole life. We just, we don't all have giant amounts of property. We just got what we've been able to hang on to our whole life for many different reasons. And I'd hate to see property, my property value, and not so much of my 80 acres, but just say that piece is worth 400,000 over there, just turn into almost nothing. I mean, I'd like to see some kind of, something set into effect that would give me some kind of protection, at least a buy on that particular piece. I'd just like that to be a consideration by the good folks in this room, and I thank everybody for letting me have my piece.
Thank you. All right, did you want to say one
I
thing?
just wanted to know, and I'm just coming into this now, so.
Okay, I can't guarantee an answer. I'm here to get information.
Okay,
myself.
the representative of the solar company gave a monetary amount of what's going to be spent when the project is done. Okay, when all these projects are done, what percentage of Stark County property will be solar? There an answer to that? Or is it just endless farm by farm? So
As what's proposed now, it's what, supposed to be less than 20% of what's zoned to ag, right?
Well, that's, I guess an answer I'm still kind of looking for.
Right.
Is,
And that's given the recorded lease is, you know, it could be anywhere between 20 to 80 or 90% of that that's actually got a solar panel on it. And that's not, you know, until we get the final,
well, that's the thing, when are we gonna get the final, acres of what? These, because I mean, it seems like it's just adding, there's, there has to be a point, these projects they have to know like their top acres, because Larry, you've said before, these power lines were gonna be maxed out a while back, and now we're adding a little more. So there's gotta be, somebody has to have a number of what these acres are gonna be. There has to be something somewhere.
with the young lady, you sitting next to,
Chris.
Mr. Whitaker. You said gave some number of 762 million investment or something. to
That's
that effect.
investment into the development of the project, the economic.
How many
benefits.
acres is that?
Our project is,
So, there's gotta be some kind of.
maxed out at 3,500 acres, and we won't use all that land.
Yes.
That's how much is reserved for the development, but we have to cite, our projects. What controls the acreage, just to clear this up, isn't the farmland available. It's the capacity on the interconnection facilities around here. Stark County has, part of why it's so attractive to developers is because there's a major PJM line and a major MISO line intersecting with the county. So you've got a lot of capacity there. That's what attracts developers to, along with a lot of open farm lands. So we have to put an application into those interconnection authorities for a certain amount of megawatts. So each of our project developments have a megawatt cap on them, not an acreage cap. So it's up to those interconnection authorities to decide on the capacity that they will allow. They do 2 or 3 years worth of studies on that to determine whether or not that project can connect.
There's no maximum number. Don't you want to try and cap it at 25% or 50%? Are you just gonna let it keep rolling until it's 100%?
I don't, okay.
That's what I'd like to know. We still haven't had a real answer to that.
That's the trouble with an acreage cap. I can sign leases on 3,500 acres, but I'm only gonna use 1,100 to
Maybe
site.
you're gonna dump into these transmission lines. Obviously you have to know a number somewhere. Somebody does.
The megawatts needed isn't out through that lane.
Yeah.
We're trying to replace what
Right.
the coal burning plant had at Wheatfield.
You don't
The
have
power lines will transport that power to where it's needed. And since we don't have 9 Chicago surrounding us, we're not gonna need additional electricity.
Right, so an acreage cap doesn't really impact the amount of solar that can fit in Stark County. It's the capacity on those grid lines, and you don't have enough capacity on those grid lines to use all of the farm.
So you're saying those colored maps they handed out aren't actually acres that will all be used?
No, absolutely not. I can put 3,500 acres under lease, but that is so that I can properly site the project. It's gonna take me about 1,100 acres to site 200 megawatts, which is what my application is for. So I sign, and the others can attest to this as well, but I find more land that is needed so that I can avoid wetland disturbance. I can work with the county on the road use. We can properly site that on the land that's gonna work. Land that's not usable for farming can be used for solar. It can be put into production when it wasn't before. There's a lot of factors. That's why we've spent $6 billion is looking at all of those factors and citing that project properly. So once it's cited, then the rest of that land is released back into farming that's not needed once that project is cited and built.
May I add one more thing, that I will be brief.
Go ahead.
50 years ago, everybody said how wonderful it is to have asbestos because it's a terrible thing to see somebody burn alive. And we all put asbestos in our places. But then when it came to remove it, the costs were fantastic, right? So it is proven scientifically that these panels, when they're well sealed, they're fine. No big health hazard. But if they split open, they are filled with toxic chemicals. There is a wear out. And I've spoken of the longevity. I have a concern for my own health because like I said, my house fronts to the south and the big solar field is right there. Would have been nice to know, and I could have talked to them and say, you know, put 100 feet, you know, in front of my house with it's clean. But when these solar panels wear out, how are they going to be recycled? Are they going to carefully carry each one and stack them so that they don't split open? I don't think so.
Can anybody here talk to what's inside the panels exactly?
It's just the same thing that's in your cell phones. It's
That's
the
what
same thing like.
And
I
those,
can
If you Google it, the inside have toxic chemicals.
only speak for our company, but we use.
I know, Dave Pearman had said he was gonna try and get a panel and show you, Brian, I believe.
Yeah.
And I mean, is there any way anybody can get?
I do want to note, if you have any interest or if anyone has any interest in seeing a panel and learning more about its components, reach out to the Center for Energy Education. They do a lunch and learn and they carry a panel in, but most of the panels have like a lead ribbon that is soldered at certain points to connect the cells together. Altogether, it's less lead than is in a bullet in each panel. Because it's a ribbon. It is.
so Mr. Chris was gonna say something.
I'm still working on that too, Charlie, by the way, but, yes, you're right, that was brought up, and I did bring it up at the meeting, and I have made some requests, haven't gotten anything yet, but I am working on getting a sample of the material that's in the inside for that.
Yes.
Purdue University is doing a lot of studies right at this time about the recycling of solar panels. They are not just thrown into landfills at this point in time. They're actually sending some of them over to third world countries and they're building homes out of them.
Right, get all the poison from there through the wind.
Hey, Charlie,
Yeah, Don,
you want to just table this for tonight or, I mean, we could even send it to the planning commission.
Years.
They ain't listening, I guess. Or we could maybe even send it to the planning commission, let them tweak our ordinance, just table it for tonight. Or you're allowed to be there all night.
You guys, I think it's not.
Well, it's, the process we have to go through is just like any other time, it's just like the last time we amended the ordinance. It's, the action starts in the plan commission. If there's any action going to be taken, and then it comes to us for a decision. I don't think it needs to go anywhere. Like I said, I don't think it's appropriate for a moratorium or a cap. So I would like this to be the end of the discussion.
Don, is that how you feel too?
Yeah, I'll second that.
think we got across everybody that was here. Thank you all for coming. Probably some of you didn't like the outcome, but I mean, that's just, I mean, government, we've already been told multiple times that government oversteps, you know, and I mean, that's just part of it. See it every day, so. When it comes to private property, I mean, it's a totally different issue, so.
Well, just, I mean, my opinion, Charlie, like the ones and I understand them being mad and aggravated. They bought that house for such amount of dollar. But did they talk to that farmer before they bought that house? You know what I mean? It's kind of goes both ways, so. I mean, like I said, I hate it for them, but that's just part of it.
Talk to us, Mark.
Thanks for considering.
Yes.
Yep.
Hey, I need that guy in my house. Which guy? Whoever yelled loud enough to shut everybody up.
Paper would like to go home.
All right. Much like the EMS director, position, the
Oh, the
the
meeting's not
IT director, the individual we offered to have declined, so this time I'll make a motion to appoint Stanley Budd as IT director.
Second, no.
I'll second it.
Favor.
And we have a fundraising policy we got to do, right?
Yeah.
Did you get sent a copy of this fundraising policy?
Yeah, I got it on my email.
Oh my God. Do you have any comments on it?
No, I'm good.
I'll make the motion, we approve the Stark County fundraising policy as presented.
I'll second.
All those in favor, aye.
Anything else, Don?
We got that, court letter for that Jasper Pulaski Fish and Wildlife area. Don, remember that? You talked to me a little bit about it.
Yes, I do. And I'd like to support it.
Okay.
So, I mean, I guess we can make a motion to send the support letter.
Motion to approve the letter of support for the Jasper Pulaski Fish and Wildlife area.
Second,
Yep, second.
all in favor,
All
aye?
right. You know,
Then there is annex keys request from James Garner, the new EMS director. Motion to approve that.
so moved.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Don, do you know who I'm supposed to send this letter to?
It was on that. Did I not get you the whole email, Rachel?
It wouldn't, it was weird how it sent. It-
I've got it, Rachel, if you need it. I'll
Okay.
send it because I did one
Lisa's
the other
gonna
day.
send it to me, Don.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I've got a copy of it somewhere. It would be, well, it may not be the same one because I skimmed the email, but I know I got an email about that.
I don't know who all we got still in there, Charlie, but you might mention it to them. All they was asking for was support for them to build that office, not that they need money from us.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Did this one,
Nope.
Rachel? Anyone else have anything for us?
Hey, Charlie, I got one thing.
Yeah, Dave.
On July 5th, we're gonna have a company picnic. I'm gonna pay for it, but if anybody wants to join us, what time did we decide, Rachel?
You.
Noon.
Is this part of that, did we, because I didn't pay as much attention as I should have, did we get that the reward or whatever taken care of from Food Drive?
Andy
Which
paid for it out of her own pocket.
Oh,
Right, Andy?
My own.
Oh, I still owe Mandy for that too. Sorry, Mark. Will work with Mandy on that, but I have not come through with that either with my promise, but I'm still committed to that as well. This is separate from that.
okay.
I think I'm gonna make pork tacos.
All right,
No further business, motion adjourned.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.